One thing we've been meaning to discuss for a while is the best playoff runs, whether it's by a whole team or individual, specifically one you can remember from your lifetime. Bobby, I'm gonna let you get started first because I know you've been wanting to talk about this for a while.
Boy, let me tell you. I'll give you two individuals. I'll give you the player and I'll give you the team. For the team, I got one that's fresh in my mind from everybody should remember that 2018 Cavalier playoff run by LeBron.
I knew you was finna say LeBron.
Bro, to me, that was the single greatest playoff run I have ever seen by one person. To me, he dragged them kicking and screaming all the way to the finals. And to me, every series you can say that he had no business making it that far. First of all, let me give you some context. First of all, remember the season before that they had Kyrie. Kyrie dipped off for whatever reasons to go to Boston. Remember they had added to replace Kyrie. It was Isaiah Thomas, Dwayne Wade, D Rose, all of them. For whatever reasons, by the All-Star break, it didn't happen. So remember, I think right before the All-Star game, they just cleaned house and just got rid of everybody. So instead of all them washed-up All-Stars that they had, they gave him Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, basically half the role players that was on the Lakers at the time. They sent them to the Cavaliers. And Brown was like, you know what? I'm hoping with what I got. I remember interview he said it just like that. They finished that season losing one less game than they did the year before when they had Kyrie and all that. They went from 51 to 50 wins. To me, that's an accomplishment of itself. When you think about all the talent that he had lost and what he got back instead. Then they go see the Pacers, which is basically the same Pacers team that they got now, but they had a prime Victor Oladipo. They beat them in 7.
Here's that Indiana really won, but got cheated out of.
I wouldn't go that far because if you talk about that block at the end of the game, that was legit. If you ask me.
Okay, bias.
I wouldn't say it was bias, but hey, so they beat them in 7. Then they see the number one seed Raptors.
LeBronto.
Yeah, LeBronto. He see them. Now I ain't gonna lie. LeBron the GOAT to me. But I thought that was the end of the Cinderella run. I thought that was it. I thought he was gonna lose. I thought that was it. I was like, at the most, he get a game or two. But this is where the story ends, and he sweeps the number one seed Raptors. So then we got that. I'm like, okay. Now he's seeing Boston. Remember, this is when Boston, they wasn't like they are today. Boston was like a force back then. Remember that whole year?
Kyrie was hurt, right?
Yeah. Remember that whole year, it was gearing up to be Boston versus Golden State. Like, this was the matchup everybody was expecting. Even without Kyrie, we were still on course for Boston versus Golden State. Because they was the only team that could match up with Golden State at that present moment. At least in the East, anyway. He beat them in 7. But to me, how I knew they was going to win Game 7, a lot of people don't pay attention to stuff like this, but I do. Kyrie was on the bench for that whole series. But Game 7, they say he didn't even show up. To me, that told me Kyrie already knew what was coming. So then they beat them in 7. To me, that certified to me he was the GOAT. At that point, I was like, you know what? It's official. Bron can take any. He can take all us right now to the finals if he wanted to. I feel like. Then they get to Golden State. Everybody knew they didn't have no shot. But the way he was hooping that whole playoff run, I'm like, hey, anything is possible. You get them 51. They low-key on the verge of beating at least them in that first game, and they would have won if J.R. Smith don't give the game back, but I'm not going to touch that because I'm low-key still upset with J.R. Smith.
George Hill missed
Don't leave out George Hill.
It's not just my boy J.R. fault.
Oh, no, I was going to get to George Hill, too, because if you go back and watch him 2 free throws, he looked petrified at the free throw line. He wanted no parts of them free throws. No part. You saw the fear in his eyes. But I feel like if them two ain't mess it up, they get that first game. They don't win the series, I don't believe.
Hell no.
Not at all.
But like it changes the perception if they get that one. But to me, they still got that one in my eyes because, like I said, they gave it back. If you ask me. So to me, that right there, I feel like no one else in the history of NBA can do what he did for that series. I feel like if you put Jordan, Kobe on that same squad, they go out in the first round. If you put like Steph, they go out probably first round too. KD, same thing. I feel like that series, that whole playoff run was a LeBron masterpiece from start to finish. For the greatest individual team run is easily the 2011 Mavs. Easily, I told y'all about them before. They ran that gauntlet of the best teams,
the best players and the best teams, man. Best players of all time.
To me, that was the single most difficult ring that no one expected them to get ever. He beat the defense champion Lakers in the first round. They sweep them. He beat
OKC. No. They beat Portland in the first round.
No. They beat Portland in the second round. They beat the Lakers in the first round.
No. Yeah, he right. It was Portland first because the Lakers beat New Orleans the first round and went to go against Dallas the second round.
You sure that the year before? Yeah. I think that was the year before.
I'm 100% sure, and I'm gonna tell you why when we get to another one of our topics. But I'm pretty sure. I'm 100% sure it was Portland in the first round.
Either way, your boy got swept.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, swept.
And I know they beat Portland after that. I think about 5 games. They beat the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals like real quick. Like they got them out of there like quick. Like they look like they didn't even deserve to be there with them, which is crazy because they beat the Thunder beat them the next year after that. They're not the same way. So like it's crazy how much a year makes. Then they get to the finals versus the Heat. Everybody and their grandma expected the Heat to run through them, and not only do they win convincingly. Like the Heat made not even he, but that team looked like the Heat didn't deserve to be on the same court as them. If you ask me, which was shocking to me because if you remember the Heat's path to that finals, they beat everybody in 5 games. They beat Philly in 5 first round. They beat Boston shockingly in 5 games. Like they dismantled them. And then they beat my Bulls with EVP Rose. Killed everybody in Chicago because I just knew he was going to win that series.
Right, we was whooping their ass in the regular season.
We was killing them. I still remember that layup D Rose hit on a Sunday afternoon where he had Braun on his left, D Wade on his right, and he went with the left.
I love that.
Layup, they fell down, and he get to talking crazy to them. I'm like, oh yeah, we winning the whole thing. We don't fit them boys. And then they kept us in the playoffs or whatever. So to me,
LeBron on D Rose, it was over with.
I ain't even gonna touch that because I'm low-key still hurt about that. Because you're gonna put a 6'3" linebacker, not 6'8" linebacker on D Rose. Like that blew.
I was there, man.
That blew me.
Clipped the MVP. I bet he did.
He should have.
All he was doing, because he got the athleticism to keep up with Derrick Rose at that time. So all he would do was just put his hip in the way. All that strength LeBron got is stopping Derrick Rose right in the tracks.
And he couldn't move. But LeBron had good feet. Good footwork if he got about like 7 inches on you. So it's like you're not getting by him.
He's stronger than you.
Yep. So yeah, they exposed my boy in a way I ain't appreciate. I'm still low key bitter, but
I don't consider that an exposed. Like that's what goes on if you put a bigger player on a smaller player.
Well, I ain't gonna say he got exposed, but that team did because it shows that if D Rose can't get going, we ain't got nothing going. But low key, we knew that, but we didn't know how bad it was to that series because we made it so far without a secondary score. But it is what it is. But like I said, Dirk and the Mavs. No one gives Jason Terry the credit I feel like he deserved for that series too because Jason Terry could have very easily won the Finals MVP. Because I feel like they gave it to Dirk just because of what he did the whole postseason run. But to me, that series, Jason Terry was the one that was the MVP because he was absolutely serving it. It was players LeBron couldn't even check him, and he tried to. But to me, that's like I said, they ran the gauntlet of the best teams in the league, the whole top 10 players in the league, all in one postseason run. To me, that's the hardest ring I've ever seen personally. I was talking about OG about it a couple of days ago.
I agree, bro. I agree with one superstar on your team, and he up in age. I definitely got to agree on that one. And they beat, like you said, the best players in the game.
Yeah, like I know that LeBron 3-1 ring, people say that's the greatest ring ever, but like to me, they only getting credit for that for one series. I'm talking about it for a whole totality of the postseason run.
Dirk will always be remembered for the nigga that stopped LeBron in that first year.
I'd be so happy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that
had me really thinking LeBron. Cause I remember I used to always say, man, LeBron ain't never gonna get no ring. And when Dirk won, I was like, oh shit, I'm right.
He said LeBron will never get no ring. You sound like a fool.
Man, you don't understand how deeply my hate ran for that man.
That don't make
At
no
the
sense.
time, I wasn't messing with him either, bro. I wasn't. I liked LeBron, but I didn't like the Miami Heat. So for me, man, you don't know how happy I was, man. I had a homie that was a LeBron James fan too, so he was talking shit. You don't know how happy I was.
Oh, I know I was. I was pissed. I lost money when the Dirk won that ring.
You love to see it.
No, I'm still salty.
What about
I'm
you,
still
Nico? Who
salty.
you what playoff runs come to your mind?
And you
I
better
got.
not say Iverson in 01, because I'll cut this off.
Oh, that's a great one. That's a great one. But nah, that's not it. Of course, I'm gonna go with the Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard getting the ring, killing the East, averaging 30, having one of the best playoff series of all time. We talked about this a few weeks ago. He one of the 6 players in NBA history to, I think, score like 800 points in the playoffs, 700 points in one single playoffs. That tell you right there, bro. Tell you right there. It's one of the 6 best playoff runs individually as a player. So when you go back to the teams they went against, they kind of was overmatched every series other than the Orlando series. Philly, you would say Philly probably was a better team with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler. They beat them 7 games. We all remember the shot. Milwaukee Bucks, everybody picked Giannis to win. What happened? Kawhi Leonard show us who the best player in the game at that time. And then he beat the Warriors. We know we had some injuries, but you got to go out there and play. And
Some
whatever in the record
injuries.
books is what happened.
Right, hey, you saw
Bring
he
it
get
up.
down like that? Some injury. They missed
Some
him.
injuries.
What you
Some
mean?
injuries, man. They had a brick. When you
It's
got
just KD,
when
It's
you
just Klay Thompson.
got the Avengers all on one team, y'all should be able to deal with those little few injuries. But at the end of the day,
What?
Kawhi Leonard got it done. You know I'm just playing, man.
Hey,
Of
Right.
course,
We talked
Kevin
about
Durant,
it's your world. It's your world. I'm just
Kevin
listening.
Durant, Clay, hobble DeMarcus Cousins. Of course they gonna lose. But they the mighty Warriors, and a win is a win. But we talked about this last week when it comes to the win is a win in the playoffs. So I'ma always put that Kawhi series up there because he looked like a mini Michael Jordan, a mini Kobe Bryant that whole playoffs. Then another one I'm gonna mess with is the Cleveland 06-07 when LeBron went to the finals.
that's 08, right?
Went crazy on Detroit, scored like the last 16 points of the Cavs to beat the mighty Detroit Pistons. Like
It
you
was
can't.
25 in a row.
That's even better. Beat
That was
Washington
nuts.
at the plant in the first round. Sweep Washington. Second round, beat the Nets, and then beat the mighty Detroit Pistons. Yeah, they lost to the Spurs, but LeBron James was in his 3rd season, 20 years old, and beat a deep team like that in Detroit and had no help. That's one of the best playoff performances to me. Also, that game in particular, one of the best performances. And then the last one is it's a team one. They didn't really go too far, but it meant a lot to me because one of my favorite players. I love this game. The 06-07 Utah Jazz. They got to the Western Conference Finals. Deron Williams' 2nd year. They beat one of my favorite teams. The 2 of my favorite teams, honestly. They beat Houston in 7 games. I thought T-Mac was gonna get out the first round, but Deron Williams and them bust their ass. Golden State after they beat Dallas. I thought Deron Williams was gonna lose again, and he showed up. And then when they went against the almighty Spurs, we know what happened. But it was a nice run. They was a 4th seed. Deron Williams was a 2nd-year point guard. Carlos Boozer went crazy that playoffs. Andre Karolinko went crazy. He was the reason they beat Golden State. So as a team, it was a nice little playoff run for me. Them gonna be my teams.
I respect that. I respect that. I mean, we all touched on the Mavericks. I don't even think I need to even bring it up again. That might be the most respected ring in basketball history.
You gotta be.
You gotta respect.
Now,
Yeah,
when you said the Lakers lost the first round, this is how I know. All right. So in the first round, the Lakers are playing. Were they the Pelicans at the time, or they were
they
still
were
the
playing the
Hornets?
Hornets. It was the
They were
Hornets.
still the Hornets, yeah. And I remember because I was at the hospital, and I was walking through the waiting room, and the game was on the TV. And this is when I saw Kobe dunk
Kobe
on the
dunked
Mecca
somebody.
Okafor.
Yeah, and I remember that.
Shouted at
I
the
remember
top of
that.
my lungs in the waiting room. Everybody was staring at me crazy. That's how I know the Lakers didn't get put out in the first round that year because I remember that day like it was yesterday. Everybody was looking at me like, "Is this nigga serious? We in the hospital." I ain't getting no fuck. I just saw Kobe end somebody's life. Shit. But yeah, that 2011 Mavericks team for sure. Because that Portland team they beat in the first round was crazy. That was the team with
Yeah,
Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Wesley Matthews, Marcus Camby, and
Mm-hmm.
Gerald Wallace. Well, that team was
it was a
stacked.
hobbled Brandon Roy though, but Brandon Roy went crazy one of them games and
Yeah.
bust their ass.
I still run with them on 2K. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And then that was the Kobe, Powell, Odom, Artest Bynum Lakers. So
That was before
sweeping
Odom was
them,
on crack.
they don't even need and the KD Westbrook OKC. Yeah. And then you beat the mighty big three in Miami. Even though it is their first year together, I don't care. That's LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh. Like
No,
you
I
gotta get
agree.
them there.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
Another one I'm gonna mention is the 01 Lakers. Like, yeah, Shaq and Kobe probably made them the most dominant, but it wasn't sweet for them coming out the West. Even though they whooped everybody ass, that just speaks to how great that team was.
Didn't they sweep the Spurs that year?
They swept everybody but the Sixers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
went
right,
16
right.
and
Yeah, they
one.
swept everybody. Right.
They swept the
Yeah, I
Blazers in the
forgot.
first round.
And they played Utah, I think, too.
No, they swept the Blazers in the first round. They played the Kings the next round and swept them. Then they swept the Spurs. And then, AI did the AI shit in game one of the finals. That was the only game they lost that playoffs.
Wait.
Yeah, my boy.
What's the AI shit? What's the AI?
Scoring super inefficiently, but getting
Getting
carried by
buckets.
his defense. So it made his performance look better than it
Oh,
actually
Getting
was.
carried by his defense. Wow. But continue.
I just wanted to hear it, man. I just wanted to hear it.
What about stepping over Tyrone?
Yeah, that shot was big. I ain't saying that shot wasn't big. I'm just saying the overall performance was shit. He shot terribly from the field.
They got
Everything
the
that led
W.
up to it.
You know,
Who won?
his defense kept him in the game. But that ain't the point. I digress. And I'll throw Kawhi in there in 2019 as an honorable mention. Only reason it's honorable mention to me because everything he did up to the finals, elite. But if he had to beat a healthy Warriors team, I would have gave it to him. I low key would have put that over 2011.
I agree.
You beating the Warriors with, like, remember how we talked about when the Warriors picked up KD, how it ruined their depth. So if he got hurt and Clay gets hurt, you have nothing.
Right.
You got
And-
Steph Curry.
Yep, and it showed. And it definitely showed.
And they put that boxing one on Steph, it was over with. And he was still getting his buckets though. But come on, man, what else? What Steph was gonna do playing with basically the roster he got now?
Basically, a preview of what's to come.
Man, but yeah, I'll throw it in there as an honorable mention though because I still think he was gonna get his numbers. They would have got their ass swept if you asked me if Golden State was completely healthy. But
I say if he just get Clay and they basically just the 2016 Warriors at that point, they still win that series in about 5 or 6.
yeah, I think it would have went 7 low key.
I don't
Because
think
Toronto,
it
Toronto was
seven.
really good that year, especially on defense.
That team messed up really good with Golden State, too, low.
Yeah, long as hell. Defense 1 through 5.
But that's the thing though, they win 6 with basically just Steph. So it's like you get him a consistent, healthy Clay, they winning that in about 5.
You never know. It goes back to like how I was saying with the Cavs in 2015. You never know how adding players into the mix might affect the outcome of other games because they might be off that game and it might cost your team. You just never know.
I feel it.
Yeah, that happened.
I feel it. Shout
That's
out
all I
Steph.
got. The 2011 Mavericks, the 01 Lakers, and Kawhi in 2019. Loki, I'll throw 09 Kobe in there too, just because I got to get a Kobe in there.
Phoenix when he beat
No.
shot over Phoenix, yeah. Just that one series.
No, that's 07. 09 is the year they
Oh, that's a
they
title,
beat
right?
the
That's a
Magic.
title.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a title.
But I'm saying it's not because of who they beat in the finals, though. This is why, like, it's just another honorable mention. It's because in the West, that's the year they beat Utah, they beat Houston, and they beat that Denver team with Melo and Billups. So,
They beat everybody they were supposed to beat.
okay.
Those was good teams, though.
Just like
but
Cleveland did.
I
But
feel you.
anyway.
Yeah, they did beat everybody. That wasn't a crazy one to me, in my opinion, because like he said, they beat everybody they were supposed
That
to.
wasn't about the
Right.
team, though. That was about Kobe. That was Kobe averaging
You just wanted to
30
throw
throughout the
Kobe in.
I feel
playoffs.
that,
Like,
though.
come on, man.
You just want to throw Kobe
I
in
feel
there.
that. Rest in peace, Bean.
Because they should have won that year.
Anywho,
That was the year we were supposed to get Braun versus Kobe.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's another reason I wanted to bring it up. But I ain't gonna get into that. I'm gonna let that rest for now. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment some topics that you'd like for us to discuss in the future. Subscribe and turn on notifications to be up to date with all our latest content. We'll catch y'all in the next one.